Today we're embarking on a weird and wonderful journey into one of the strangest and most unique N64 controllers out there. The N64 controller itself, people either love it or hate it. The traditional tri-prong controller. Now I actually love this controller, it's my favourite console. I can see why people didn't like it, it's by no means my favourite controller, but I think it's unique. And really innovative. I'm going to probably say innovative about 100 times during this fucking video. So in the 90s, gaming was kind of at its peak for me, I think. I think this is when a lot of people were trying a lot of different things. And between the N64 and PlayStation, I think there was a whole heap of just craziness going on. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about one particular heap of craziness, and that is the one and only Ultra Racer 64. So in a recent video, you've seen me pick this up for the Birmingham gaming market. I was actually after this controller for a long time, and I love the N64 controllers. The original tri-prong, the new wireless ones, the fucking, what's it called? The Mako pad? I don't know. The Mako pad, where they tried to make like an actual, like, joypad. I don't know. It's chunky as fuck, but I think it's actually pretty cool. But the Ultra Racer 64 has been one that I've been after for a while. Now, it is predominantly meant for racing games, obviously with the steering wheel design and everything like that, and the trigger in the back, but it can be used to control games, just in a kind of general sense, on the N64. So let's have a look at a few games this works on, and maybe some it doesn't work for. So first up, we've got some F-Zero X. Now, this is my favourite racer. Probably one of my favourite games on the N64, actually. And I don't know why, but the controller in this game just seemed to go together absolutely perfectly. I don't know if it's the long stretches of track or the fact the track's nice and wide, but I found the controls super responsive, and it just almost came second nature and just made the game so much better. Next up, I tried some Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Now, for whatever reason, it took me a couple of laps to get into this properly. I did feel like the controls had to be a wee bit tighter, but overall, kind of after the first couple of laps, it kind of came second nature again. Controls smooth as hell. I think with this, because the tracks are a bit narrower, I think I kind of struggled a wee bit here and there, but overall, still an excellent racing experience. Now for some Destruction Derby 64, one of the classic racing games on the system. This is, again, one of my favourite racers, one of the very few that I'm actually good at, and I found the controls for this were absolutely bang on. Again, kind of trying to get the sharp turns and everything like that to try and smash into other cars. Fantastic. Now we're trying some non-racing games just to see how it copes. So Rogue Squadron here. It didn't really work. I can control the ship, no bother, that was all fine, and it was actually cool flying about with the stick, but because I was missing that B button, I was just missing some of that functionality that was needed to play the game. Next up, Lilac Wars. So this was a game I was looking forward to trying. Now, I'm not the best at this game, admittedly, but controlling this controlled pretty much like Rogue Squadron did. It's missing just a couple of the buttons. And controlling it was a wee bit weird as well. It wasn't the most intuitive controls. It was still fun here and there, but I don't know, it just didn't react too well. With time and practice, it'd be a cool controller to play the game with, but first off the bat, no very enjoyable. And then I tried Castlevania 64. This game gets a lot of shit, and it's even worse with this controller. Nah, I actually like this game. I really fucking like this game. Controlling wise, absolutely perfect. No problems. Just because it's missing that B button, it just didn't work. I'm afraid. It was cool. Like, you could still run about. No bother. That was all fine. Having the C buttons and everything were still accessible. The A button, the jump button, everything like that was all fine. But it was just missing that functionality. Last but no least, Mario 64. How did this pan out? Well, pretty much the same as Castlevania 64 did. The functionality is kind of lacking just with that B button. Now with this, you didn't really need the B button, you just need the jump and the control button. It did work better than Castlevania, I would admit, but look, it's a controller for racing games, it's not meant for games like this. It's cool that it works up to a certain point. Didn't get me wrong, it's a cool challenge controller, but beyond that, I'd probably stick to racing games. And there we have it, that's a few games tested with the Ultra Racer 64. Now obviously, when it comes to RPGs and platformers, maybe it's not the best controller, but it is interesting. It's an interesting take and an interesting challenge. For now, I think I will stick to some racing games with this thing. It's actually crazy how instinctive the steering wheel actually feels when it comes to controlling racing games. Not so much with the platformers, but still, it is a racing controller. Basically, anything that needs the B button can't really function with it. I do think that F-Zero X is the game for this. I've tried a few different racers. Mario Kart kind of felt a wee bit stiff, still manageable, but wasn't the best. Destruction Derby was good. Now, I'm not the best at racing games anyway, so like me crashing about the place isn't a reflection of how the Ultra Racer 64 actually steers. It's just me. But when it comes to F-Zero, this controller is fucking bang on. Flying around in Rogue Squadron was pretty fun. Couldn't really do anything. I could fly around, that was really it. But it was still good, like, it was still cool. It would be good if there was like an extra button for the fire button, or maybe like two extra buttons or whatever, so you could have your A and B independently maybe, I don't know, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's unique anyway in its kind. So I recommend, if you come across one in the wild, be it for PC, be it for PlayStation, I suggest you pick one up. But anyway guys, if this is your first time, please like and subscribe. I'm going to jump back in and play some F-Zero with my Ultra Racer. See you in the next one. Bye for now.